You want to keep him interested, but not sure how to keep a text conversation going with a guy? Don't worry, we've all been there. Texting is a really valuable tool to use. You have time to think about what you're going to say, you don't have to deal with any awkward silences, and you're through all the small talk right away. That is why you need to learn how to keep a text conversation going with a guy. But what happens to most of us when we text is that we tend to overdo it and become a bore. Texting is addicting, and when you're texting someone you like, sometimes we freeze and only write lol or yeah, or we send essay-length paragraphs. There are some things you can do to keep the text conversation with a guy flowing smoothly. Things that you'll have to be aware of when texting him so that you keep your cool even though you're freaking out. So, what do you have to do when texting a guy? 1. Relax. I know you like this guy, but if you're freaking out already and you haven't even sent a text yet, it's not going to go well. You'll overthink what you're saying, and it won't be the natural you speaking. So, just take a breath and chill out for a second before talking to him. Sure, he's cute and all that, but he's just a guy. Repeat to yourself, he's just a guy. 2. Conversation is a two-way street. This is the important part. When you're talking to a guy, you need to make sure the conversation is going both ways. If you're the only one talking, then you need to back off. Don't be the only one talking. If you're asking him questions, but he's not giving much back, then he may not be interested. If you only talk about yourself and forget to ask him questions, well, you come off self-absorbed. 3. Stick to your style. Don't try to change the way you text to impress him. Keep to your own personal style and stay true to that. But this also means you need to be aware of the way he writes. You may use emojis when you speak, which is fine, but if he doesn't, don't assume that he's not interested. Everyone has their own style when it comes to texting. 4. Ask questions. If you want the conversation to keep going, then ask him a question. But you don't want to have it look like a job interview, so throw in a question here and there, but don't constantly ask him one after another. He'll get scared and create distance between you. 5. Don't be so quick to answer. You don't have to always answer his messages within seconds of receiving it. Remember that people pay attention to the patterns of others. Get him used to you not quickly replying to messages. It gives him the idea that you're busy and also gives you the time to think about how you reply. 6. Throw in a couple voice messages. They're another way to add a personalized touch to your texts. Plus, sometimes your thumbs get sore, so give them a rest by sending a voice message. 7. Keep the overanalyzing to a minimum. I know this is going to be hard because we all overanalyze, but seriously, try to keep it down to a minimum. Don't read over his messages, again and again, trying to see the emotion behind it. Just leave it. Listen, if he talks to you, you already know he's curious, so that's a good start. 8. Stay positive. Keep the conversation in a light tone. Of course, if you have a bad day, tell him, but keep the whining and complaining down to a minimum. No one likes sitting through a conversation with someone spewing negativity. So, now that you know how to keep a text conversation going with a guy, it's time you put these tips into practice. Just remember, take a deep breath and don't overthink what to say. Thanks for watching, but before you go, we present you Irresistible Texts. It's a program that has been designed to offer ladies another advantage to stay men glued to their phones while expecting their texts. It's some amazing tips and techniques for keeping a person curious about you and eventually eager to spend the remainder of his life with you. Buy your book from the link in the description below for only $7.